Well, hey, welcome to Decentrify. My name is Jason Dukes. This is the show where we try to take 5-ish minutes to run through 10 questions and with no edits. And our special guest today is Chase Chapman. She is someone that people look to for insights and wisdom on DAOs. She's a DAO contributor, and we're very excited to have her on the show today. Thanks for being with us, Chase.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat.
Very cool. Well, let's jump in. The first question, did your podcast get some extra love when all the hype was building around the Otherside deed sale, since the name of your podcast is Otherside?
Yeah, when I saw this, was actually a little bit worried that they were going to take the On the Other Side name and use it for whatever they were doing. But I don't think it got extra love, which was great because on the flip side of the Otherside deed sale was a lot of angry people. So
yes,
not getting extra love was fine with me because it also avoided extra hate.
That's right. That's right. Very cool. So what's one thing that can be more humane about Web3? That's the motto or the slogan tagline of your podcast. So what's one thing that can be more humane about Web3?
I think we tend to think about Web3 as a lot of systems, almost like protocols, and we're obsessed with game theory and all of these things. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, all of this stuff is just people, no matter what. And so I think we need to think a lot more about the human systems more broadly that make this technology possible. I think when we talk about trustlessness, what that really means is moving trust into technology. And that's still something that's very human. If people stopped trusting a given blockchain, then that doesn't mean that it's trustless. And so I think a lot of it is about really thinking about the humans behind the technology and how we operate.
I love that. Similar goal for this podcast, the who behind the what. I love it.
Totally.
So next one, do you sort of dislike Ohio State or do you downright deal with debilitating disdain toward them?
Well, so because I went to Michigan, you would think that I don't like Ohio State, but I never really got that into sports. So the rivalry is not super strong for me, I have to say. I actually kind of feel like people from Ohio more broadly who are in crypto, I vibe with because we've got the Midwestern energy going on.
I love it. I think that's great. How does Orca Protocol uncomplicate DAOs?
So Orca is building this primitive called pods, which is a really human primitive. It basically gives DAOs a multi-sig and NFT membership that gives you ability to be a signer on a multi-sig. And it's kind of like putting working groups or guilds or whatever you want to call them on chain. But the really exciting thing here is that often DAO tools try to get everything right the first time and really create these complex systems for governance. Orca takes a really different approach where instead we want what's on chain to reflect what already works for humans. And so a lot of it is just about creating these on-chain primitives that are evolutionary, that reflect how humans actually operate instead of trying to engineer it all from the very beginning.
Very cool. That's good stuff. Yeah, and for those who are listening, if you don't know yet what a multi-sig is, although you probably do, but if you don't, a multi-signature wallet, right, where multiple people have to sign on to affirm, which is a part of the DAO system and governance. So what's something that the Cow Fund DAO has recently invested in?
Yeah, so Cow Fund is a group of people who are investing in different crypto projects. And one of the ones that we've recently invested in that I'm super excited about is Bundler, which is a sort of storage network for Arweave or on top of Arweave. And they are absolutely kicking ass when it comes to helping projects leverage Arweave. And I'm super excited about what the future looks like for Bundler. And that's Bundlr, so it has no E at the end.
Good stuff, Bundlr.
Yes.
All right. One thing that you wish the mainstream already understood about DAOs?
This one's a hard one. I think one of the mainstream narratives that's really gained popularity is that investment DAOs and social clubs are the main two use cases for DAOs. And I think that's okay, but I wish the mainstream more deeply understood the way that DAOs give ownership and this ability to collectively govern entities that before people basically had no access to. And I wish people saw a little bit more of this line between co-ops and DAOs and how similar they are.
That's good. That's good. What are 3 ways that someone can immerse in and learn about DAOs right now?
Ooh, so of course, I think Twitter is a great place to learn pretty much everything and keep up with what's going on in the space. I would also suggest checking out different DAOs that are currently active. A few places that I like to go is Snapshot. I also like to check out Backdrop. Those are all spaces where you can actually find DAOs. They're not, neither of them are directly DAO discovery tools, but they both allow you to sort of click around and see which DAOs are active. So I would highly recommend checking that out. And then the last place is just hopping in a Discord and understanding what the vibe is, how things seem to work in an organization. I think that's really helpful when it comes to immersing yourself and actually understanding how these organizations operate, because often they can feel so broad and theoretical, but people are really doing this type of work on the ground.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing, and people welcome you in, especially if you're looking and you're learning, and I think it's great. So what's the biggest hurdle that DAOs themselves need to address?
I think DAOs need, people who are like operators of DAOs need better templates and mental models for how to think about decentralized organizing. Right now, it feels like we have 2 ends of a spectrum. One of them is hierarchy as a reference point, and the other one is completely decentralized protocols like TCP/IP or Bitcoin. And when you try to use either one of those approaches, what you end up with is something that doesn't quite work, because neither of those capture the essence of what it means to organize people in a decentralized manner. I think things like co-ops, self-managing orgs, sociocratic organizations are actually much better mental models. And I'm hoping that more DAO operators draw on those things, because there's so much learning that's already been made in this regard. And so I'm hoping that more DAOs and DAO operators can draw on that and really start to experiment from there.
I think that's good. It's so good. So explain, based on what you just said, even explain what Index Co-op does and how DAOs can best use it.
Yeah, so Index Co-op builds financial products that effectively provide access and exposure to what's happening in the world of crypto without actually needing to know everything about every asset and what's exciting and what isn't. So all types of financial products Index is building to give people exposure to the space. We've built things like thematic indices. We've also built more like yield generating type of products. We're moving more in the direction of yield generating products, things like IC ETH, which gives you a lot of exposure to ETH specifically. And so we're basically building all of these products to make it a lot easier to get exposure to all of the exciting things that are happening in crypto without needing to buy every single asset or do all of the really complex strategies that people often use in order to get that exposure.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, so last question. Who else should we have on to Decentrify?
I think David Phelps would be hilarious. He's also in Cow Fund, also invested in Bundler, and he's a Twitter thought boy, but I think he would be really funny to have on.
Very cool. Well, it's been a joy to have you on, Chase, and your brilliance in the space, your understanding, the way you approach it with both heart and mind, I admire, and I'm thankful for the way that you're already being used. I can't wait to see the opportunities that will come before you because of the way that you engage and the brilliance that you have in it. So it means a lot that you joined us, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. And I really appreciate that. It means a lot. And I think it's always conversations like this that bring me back to that. So I really appreciate chatting, and I like the brevity of this also. Really got to get to the point. It's been fun.
Good stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.